I found out I'm being crossed by a 2-time snake. So I'm gonna get revenge and tell somebody that he loves his little dirty secret. A few days ago, I found out that a guy I used to date last winter had given me a fake last name, got married in early spring, and had been engaged, living with his fiancée the entire time we were together. And as we continued to hook up every now and then in the months following, no longer dating, he was able to hide his wife from me in a variety of ways that all added up to be a perfect scenario for him to continue to lead me on, without me seeing a reason to ask many questions. For example, he was a coach, and he had weird working hours, like very early mornings and evenings after normal work hours, so many of our dates were lunch dates. He was also going through a messy custody hearing for his son that was scheduled for March 2022. So, when he started to be busy a lot, I understood and did not ask questions. He had told me he did not have social media to avoid giving his ex any fuel at all for the hearing. So, when I could not find him online, well, he had already told me why. At the time, there was no solid reason for me to distrust him, even if things sometimes felt a little off in my gut. At one point, I did question his interest in me when he did not reply for a few days. He told me, "Sorry, busy weekend with my son." He would reassure me and apologize, so he had many chances to set me free, even without coming clean. He could have just said, "Yeah, I'm not feeling it anymore. I wish you the best, and I feel so stupid for thinking what a great father he was for being so focused on his son when he had this weekend with him." He eventually was honest with me as the custody hearing got closer, and told me that he needed to be focused on that, and that he could not give me what I deserved in a relationship right now. When we stopped seeing each other regularly, he stayed in contact, and occasionally we did sleep together, since we were both single, or so I thought. I even looked back through my calendar, and we saw each other 2 days after his wedding weekend. Ick. I found out that he was married when I mentioned him at a business, and someone who worked there said they think he's their coach. I'm purposefully keeping that vague because when I confronted him, he tried to get me to tell him who it was that he coached who told me. I wasn't going to play that game. So we looked up his coaching profile to see if we were talking about the same person. There he was, smiling with a different last name than what he's told me 10 months ago, with a description saying he likes to spend time with his wife, his son, which was the same name he told me, and dog, yup, same name. More Googling at home brought up a wedding registry for a wedding in April 2022. Both their Facebook profiles were there, so I saw the pictures, the house that they lived in, with the wife's name as the owner. I feel so disgusted, deceived, targeted, hurt, mad, sad, shocked. So, ladies and supporter of ladies, do I tell the wife? Part of me wants to do so, that she isn't also being deceived by this guy, so he doesn't, quote, get away with it. But I also just want to be done with it, move on and never think about him again. I'm afraid to open a door that I can't close by involving myself more into his twisted life. I'm slightly concerned about his reaction if I tell him, like for my own safety or that of my property since he knows where I live. Or if there's any way to cruel and cunning person would get revenge that I'm not thinking of. Any advice or similar experiences? Thank you. What's up guys, Mr. Reddito here. This is an intense story and there's an update for it. We're going to hop into that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out the other Mr. Reddito channels you can find in the description below. Here we go, this wild update. After protecting myself and my identity in what ways I could, I told the wife. I found her number and texted her a brief, factual message that her husband cheated on her. The date that we matched on Bumble, and how I had no idea he was engaged or married. The fake last name and how he never mentioned her, but did mention other people in his life. I gave her a few screenshots to demonstrate that it went over the series of months. She replied the next day thanking me. She said she was on her way to her parents' house and was planning to file divorce as soon as possible. She had been suspicious after testing positive for HPV about a month ago, as I and you guys suspected from the house being only in her name. Apparently, he's completely financially dependent on her, and everything he told me about having investments and a small business was a lie. I also found out that in addition to a fake last name, he gave me a fake phone number too. She cautioned me that he may try to retaliate once she gives him the news, and she will message me before she gives him the papers so that I can go to a friend's house for a few days if I feel I need to. Well, it's been stressful and emotional these past few days. I'm upset that men like this exist, proud of myself for telling her, thankful to my friends and to all of you who encouraged me to do so, proud of her for leaving, but I am a little bit scared of what he will do. So I can't believe this dude got away with that for so long. Let's read a couple comments. The wife handled that like a real pro. Kudos to her for offering to give OP a heads up before serving the dude. I agree, that was very nice of her. And the second comment says, the level-headedness likely comes from the wife's tiredness of the dude's financial incompetence. Think the documented evidence of an affair is what she needed for a final push for divorce, since she's cheating had an impact on settlement agreements in some places. Glad OP told the wife before the dude can leech off his wife even more. Guys, I agree with that. Maybe this was the last straw that the dude's wife needed before he kicked to the curb. Alright, we have one more story to look at. Am I the a-hole for walking out of my birthday dinner after my sister and her boyfriend announced that they were getting married and stole all my shine? This was a couple weeks ago, but I still think about it. I'm a 16 female and had a sweet 16th a couple weeks ago. Nothing too crazy, and my parents, our extended family, they all came over. We went out to a nice restaurant that my parents booked. A lot of my family, cousins, nieces, and nephews were there, so it was a lot of people. After we ate dinner and it was time to blow out my candles, my mom insisted I open some of my presents so I don't have to carry them home. My aunties, uncles, and grandparents gave me presents, after opening their presents and saying thank you, and that my older sister and her boyfriend gave me theirs. Inside their box, they gave me was a "Will you be my maid of honor" card on top of the present. I was obviously confused just looking at them with a weird expression on my face. My mom came over to look in a box as well, and she loudly said, "You're getting engaged?" My sister squealed in excitement and told us all about her proposal and how they're already planning the wedding. She said it was the perfect time to announce their engagement, since all of her family was there. When my sister asked if I was going to say yes, I just nodded and excused myself to the bathroom. No, I did not go to the bathroom. I ended up walking out and went to a nearby park. A couple hours passed by, and my dad pulled over on the curb and told me to get in. I expected him to yell at me, but he ended up taking me out for ice cream, and we sat at the lake and just talked. When I got home, I saw my cake on the counter, and my mom got up and started yelling at me about how I wasted money, wasted my family's time. My sister and her boyfriend came out and told me how mean I am for doing this to them. My sister ended up saying that my birthday wasn't as important as her wedding, and my mother agreed. My dad told my sister and her boyfriend to get out, and ended up talking to my mom about how they could have checked with me beforehand instead of just announcing it. So, am I the a-hole? Final update 4 days later. I'm grateful for all the comments and opinions, and I showed my dad all the comments that people wrote. He says you're hilarious and he appreciates you all. He was laughing at all the stuff I showed him and should have done at the wedding. My dad and I sat my mom and sister down just so I could explain to her that I won't be her maid of honor as it's a big responsibility, and that it should be at the hands of an adult instead of a 16-year-old. Although she tried to convince me further, I still said no. She starts growling at me, saying I was ruining her wedding and that her and her fiancé went out of their way to buy me a gift, which was her proposal box to me. Unfortunately, my mom and sister started telling me how cruel it was to ruin a wedding and that it's not about me, it's about the bride. My dad ended up arguing with my mom about how it isn't cruel and no 16-year-old should have to plan and help organize a wedding, as that's what the maid of honor does, and it would be too stressful and should go to an adult instead. My mom starts arguing with him about how it's not my day, and I'm already had mine, my birthday, and I should go forward with my sister's plan, as it's about her and not me. My dad brought the birthday up and argued with my mom and my sister that she ruined my birthday, and if she did not try to make it all about herself, we wouldn't be in this situation. I don't want to go into too much detail of what went down, but basically my sister started crying and my mom called me a brat and a disgrace, and how I've officially ruined my crappy sister's wedding. I'm now staying at my grandparents' house until things blow over. I don't think they will, to be honest, since my mom tells me any chance she gets that I'm a brat and a horrible sister for not helping my big sister on her special day. My dad is with my mom trying to sort her out and my other grandparents. They're just talking with her as my dad told them what's happening. I'm not going to be her maid of honor nor her bridesmaid since she's a jerk. I'm not sure if I'll even go to the wedding. I'll have to just see what my dad thinks about it. My grandparents, which are my dad's parents who I'm staying with, are talking to my dad about considering divorce or taking a break from mom, as she and my sister are just creating a toxic environment for him and I to live in. And after all these years, they see no reason for him to live with such a woman. I don't really know what to think about it, and I feel kind of lost, but I thought I'd update y'all. Okay, so I found some interesting comments. Since the mother thinks maid of honor is such an easy thing, maybe she should do the duties in there entirely. Then, since it's so easy, a 16-year-old could do it, right? Not to mention all the money the maid of honor has to spend. All the more reasons the mom should handle maid of honor duties. If a 16-year-old with a 16-year-old budget can handle it, a mother more than twice that age at least should be able to handle it in her spare time. Do you guys agree with this comment, or do you think OP should have been the maid of honor because it's her sister? It's a good argument, but I'm going to have to go with the commenters on this one. I don't think a 16-year-old should have to be a maid of honor by force, or anyone for that matter. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Drop them down below. Comment, like, subscribe. You know what to do. If you enjoyed and you want to support the channel, you can check the description below for all 3 of my channels and subscribe to them, because there's daily videos on every single one. Alright guys, I'll catch you later. Have a wonderful night and be safe. And remember, it's cool to be kind.